What's up, cousin? Welcome to CoCo Conjure. Here we talk about all things hoodoo, folklore, and spiritual journeys. My goal is to give foundation to the novice and inspiration to the advanced practitioner. If you have not guessed already, my name is CoCo. So we made it. This is the end of season 4. I am midway through my road opener for the year. And we are closing it out on a bang, let me tell you, because as evident by the title, this episode is an Other Tales original. If you haven't been here before, cousin, Other Tale originals are short stories written by me using my knowledge of folklore and spiritual work while we follow our root lady extraordinaire, Monroe Devereaux. Listening to the previous Other Tale originals are helpful, not going to lie, but not necessary, as each entry of Monroe's story stands on its own. Usually at the end of folklore episodes, I do a breakdown. And yes, it still feels weird doing a breakdown of my own work, but at the end, I will extract whatever work was done and give you a play-by-play. So, without further ado, I present to you, I Say It, and So It Is. Now, you're sure you're gonna be all right in that graveyard by yourself? Aunt Bethel said as she adjusted her wide-brimmed, bedazzled gold church hat. Mama Green, the only tailor in town, hooked her up last week with a full gold suit to match that hat. The Christmas service was serious business, as evident by the fashions on display of the congregation. Many men and women paraded past in their finest silvers and golds. Mama Green always did make good money this time of year, and Aunt Bethel was not afraid to drop some coins. Now, Beth, the girl said she had work to do. Just let her go on with it and stop your henpecking, Aunt Ethel scolded as she fished 9 dimes out of her equally stunning black and gold-trimmed pantsuit and gave it to Ro. You giving her loose change is worse than me henpecking, Aunt Bethel retorted as she reached into her matching bag and pulled out a caramel chew, handing it over to Ro as well. If I'd have known we were giving you random things, I would have put more candies in my pocketbook. Ro chuckled at the two and stuffed their odds and ends in her pockets. Aunt Beth, I promise I will be all right. I know. I just don't like the idea of you going in that graveyard all by yourself. It's creepy in there. And you know, Reverend said that like attracts like. He says it every week. Like attracts like. Who knows what's going to follow you in and out of there? Ro absent-mindedly fingered the key around her neck and the mojo in her pocket. Now, Beth, you're giving the girl the heebie-jeebies. She got that good juju on her. I can feel it from here. Now go on inside and snag a seat. You know you like to sit up front, and so does everyone else. Brown noses, the lot of them. Ethel gave Bethel a kiss on the cheek, turned her toward the church, and gave a soft pat on her bottom to get her moving. The public display of affection was not normal for the two. They were too old and too set in their ways of hiding. Ro was happy to see it, though. It meant the two were comfortable, even if nearby monitoring churchgoers frowned and whispered as they watched. What a spectacle, Ethel, Bethel, and the diabolical Devereaux. No one should have to hide who they love, though, or what they believe. All right, I'm going. 'Cause you know the judge is going to try to get the best seat if he's already here. And I don't see his car anywhere, though. And I want to see Lenora make sure she knows we're coming over to get the good spirits. Not the wine, but the other spirits. Beth kept going like Ro and Ethel could hear her as she got further away. Once Aunt Bethel was out of earshot, Aunt Ethel grabbed Ro's hands. Now you listen to me, girl. You do your business, you do your visit, and you come right back on out. Don't stay there all day long, Ethel said. Yes, Auntie. 'Cause you young ones think it's real cute and fun to go playing around in the city of the dead, but it's not. You gotta remain respectful. Don't go kicking rocks and digging anywhere, witch. Your family plot is in the middle of the graveyard. Can't miss it. Just look for the biggest tree and head straight there. You got me?" Ro got her all right. She knew all of this because Aunt Ethel gave the same instructions last night at dinner, again this morning as they laid out breakfast for the bed and breakfast guests, and then again in the car ride to the church. But Ro just said, "Yes, Auntie." "Yes, Auntie. Yes, Auntie. Now open that bag and let's see what you got going on. I gave you those dimes because I know you forgot the dimes for payment." Ro brought her mercury dimes for divination and 9 pennies for payment at the gate. Customarily, dimes would be more appropriate for payment. That fact showed up countless times in her family's book that was passed from worker to worker. But Ro didn't want to mix up her divination mercury dimes with her regular old payment dimes. Not that she was going to explain all that to Aunt Ethel and get her started about being properly prepared when doing work. Instead, Ro opened up her bag of holding for Aunt Ethel to see inside. "Oh, good, you brought your hand broom. But did you anoint your hand broom?" "Yes, Auntie." "And is that my Tennessee whiskey in there?" "Oh, Auntie, between Lenora and Aunt Beth carrying on last night and this morning about their outfits and my guests at the bed and breakfast, I just didn't have time to go to Jim's to get some liquor and spirits." Ethel narrowed her eyes. "Ro, you know that prior planning prevents piss poor performance." "Yes, Auntie." "You gonna replace my whiskey, girl. Go ahead and yes, Auntie, that. Now tie that scarf around your head and put that mojo around your neck. I know you're going to go see family, but Ethel and Reverend are right. You're going to attract strange things. You always seem to attract strange things." "Auntie, are you worried about me?" Rose said as she knotted the scarf in a ball on her forehead. "Psh, I'll leave that hen pecking to Beth. I know you can handle yourself." "Well, thanks for the vote of confidence," Rose said around a smile that Ethel completely missed as she pulled the girl in for a hug. "I will say, I wish Lenora was going with you. I always went with your uncle after your father passed. He always seemed to go in some strange trance whenever he was in there." "But Auntie, I can handle myself." I know. I'm the one who said that." The two women pulled apart and stared at each other for a moment. Ethel took in Ro one last time before nodding in approval. And without any other words between them, Ethel sighed heavily and walked toward the church doors. It was at that moment that Ro realized the Reverend was standing there, watching them. Once Ethel walked past him, Ro nodded in greeting. The Reverend sucked his teeth and nodded in response. Politeness is in the DNA of the South, even if it's delivered in passive-aggressive distaste, and Ro did not miss his distaste. She wanted to roll her eyes, but instead she smiled brightly and moved toward the graveyard. Before she entered the graveyard, Ro followed protocol. She fished out 4 dimes from the stash Aunt Ethel gave her and made sure they were not her mercury dimes, and then left them at the gatepost. Then she knocked 3 times, just to make sure the guardians of death and the spirits resting inside knew she was coming. She waited a moment and was greeted with a tingle at the base of her skull. That's when she knew access was granted to her. Then, with a deep breath, she started down the path inside toward the oldest tree. Ro was so nervous. She'd be lying if she said she wasn't. She never knew much of her dad's side of the family. He died young, and her uncle was always somewhere making money to send to her mom. So the family plot was the first time she was actually meeting her relatives on her daddy's side of the family. She refused to count that time she drove out the haints of Cousin Jim and Cousin Tanika from her house. That was unfortunate and left her feeling alone the longer she thought about it. As she got closer to the family plot, however, she found that her mind and spirit were set at ease. Maybe it was the guardians of the city of the dead making her feel a little more comfortable, recognizing her as a Devereaux. Maybe it was her ancestors greeting her. Regardless, the closer she got to the big tree, the more she felt at home. By the time she reached Aunt Beulah's gravesite, Ro was euphoric and smiling. She took a second to read the inscription on the headstone. It said, Aunt Bulah Devereaux, the Silent Heart of St. Stephen's. Ro, a little unsure of herself, gave a small, awkward bow in the presence of her aunt's grave, then sat down crisscross beside the headstone. She fished in her bag of holding and pulled out a single rose, still wrapped, and Aunt Ethel's bottle of whiskey. Oh, I really have to pay her back, Aunt Bulah. I swear I didn't mean to steal it, but I didn't want to come empty-handed. And Aunt Ethel did say that you enjoyed your whiskey when she used to come with Uncle Remus to see you. Silence greeted Ro. She wasn't sure what she thought was going to happen, but she pressed on. All right. I guess introductions are in order because you don't know me, but I'm your niece. Like many times removed, actually. I guess the last person in my family like us you would have met would have been Uncle Remus. Ro waited again, but still nothing. And by like us, I mean, I'm a child of the Crossroad King, like you, like Uncle Remus. I'm actually performing the renewal rites at this current moment, because of the pact. I'm not supposed to say out loud what I asked for, just, be a testament to the power granted to me. So far, it is going well. I have the bed and breakfast up and going, and the town has taken a liking to me. I don't have a fun moniker like the Silent Heart of St. Stephen's, but they haven't driven me out with pitchforks. I actually met your grandson, James. I think you called him Jim. That's a story in and of itself. But yeah, after that, the people were pretty happy to see Devereaux back in town. Well, most of the people were happy to see a Devereaux back in town. I don't think the Reverend likes me much, but we haven't officially met yet, so. Oh, devils, I'm rambling. I am rambling. Sorry, I'm just a little nervous to meet you. I read your work and all of the pages I've combed through. Your section in the family book is easily my favorite. I feel like I'm meeting my hero. Bro finally took a breath and waited for some sort of sign, but nothing came. Honestly, Aunt Bulah, I don't know what I was expecting. You're called the Silent Heart, not the Blabbermouth. Ro laughed at her own joke. But, yeah, your section in the book is my favorite. You are very clear and very to the point. You saved my life once, actually. The section on how to clear haints out of a house. I swear I heard you whisper it to me as I read it. Ro pulled the family book out of her bag of holding. She placed it on her lap and started to dig for her bottle of water and a cough drop. The one-sided conversation had her parched. No sooner did she unwrap the cough drop, though, than a gust of wind pushed through the graveyard. Ro grabbed at her head wrap and steadied her bottle of water as the wind kicked up dust and debris. Once the gust passed, she righted herself, then reached for her family book. Ro examined the pages the wind exposed. Now, Aunt Bulah, I've read this book cover to cover every week. I know I miss a few things, but I've never missed an entire section before, Rose said as she pulled out a pad of sticky notes and a pen from her bag, ready to take notes. I was looking for a sign, and the devil knows you delivered. Ro leaned against the headstone and started reading. Entry by Bulah Clark, date December 21st. The Crossroad King said to speak to the book till I learn to read and write better, and that's what I'm doing. I'm speaking to the book, and the words is just showing up, so what he said is true, I suppose. He also said I had to learn to read and write better so I could access the wisdom. During the initiation rites, I asked him to hear me, and if I say it, he should make it so. I didn't like his smile when he said, "Granted," and ate up the last of my cornbread. Something about that wasn't right. Like maybe I was getting more than I asked for. I don't understand how my wish was granted, but I need to be heard and answered. Mama said to call out to God, to Jesus, and not following her old man or her sister Harriet's path. And I did. I swear I did. I called out to Jesus every time John beat me. I called out every time Uncle Solomon touched me wrong. Jesus must be deaf because I was still beat and I was still touched wrong. That's how men folk do, though. They beat and touch wrong and take. They say something and us women supposed to just make it happen. End the discussion. White or nigga, it don't matter. That's how men folk do. Well, not all men folk be that way, but somehow it's always a man that way. And I got a girl now, and if it's up to me, little Bertha will never experience men folk how I do. But John is as big as the trees outside, and Uncle Solomon is white and fed off daddy's inheritance, and I'm small. They like that I'm small. Means they got power and I don't. But I got power now because the Crossroad King said granted. And it will keep being granted as long as I come back next year at the same time and give him some of my cornbread and a little corn liquor and learn to say the fancy words he told me to say. And I gotta remember to brush honey on top of the cornbread next time. Crossroad King said he likes his cornbread sweet. I should have guessed the devil likes sweets. Entry, Bulah Clark, date December 25th. John came home drunk and angry a few days ago. Not new, he always come home drunk. I don't know why he angry. Maybe it's the whiskey. Maybe he angry 'cause he's drunk. But he take mine and start hitting me. And it was bad. My face still swole up. And I got a burn mark on my back from some hot thing he used to hit me as I tried to crawl away. He was talking all sorts of shit. You think you so pretty 'cause you light skinned. You think you can say whatever you want and another man will just take you. That's what he say to me as he hit me. I ain't even say anything this time, but that man can't ever come up with nothing new. So he say stuff like, you gonna leave me 'cause you got that light skin and that pretty face and you gonna go past and live good. But I won't let you 'cause you needs me. That's that whiskey got him talking truth. And his fist got me silent. But I do like I always did, and I called out for help. I called out, and I was taking the licks and staring into that stove heat in the house, and then something said, "You tell that nigga to kiss your ass, Bulah. I back you up." I swear that voice sounded like my old man. "But I'm scared," I said out loud. I did. I don't know why I said it out loud, but I said, I'm scared. And John thought I was talking to him, but I wasn't. I was talking to that voice. I was talking to old man. Then John burned my back and I just lay there hurting and trying to crawl away. "What you scared for, gal?" The voice whispered to me so quiet I almost missed it. "You got our power now, remember?" Then, and I swear this the truth, I swear I saw a gun in the fire in the stove. And it looked so real. I almost put my hand in the stove just to see if it was real. But Bertha started to cry. And John said, "You shut that baby up." So I gathered myself up best I could. I tried to ease Bertha, but she wouldn't settle for me. And then John said, "Shut that baby up, woman." And I tied Bertha to my front, but she still wouldn't ease. I go to find a little whiskey for her gums. Bertha got teeth coming in, and Mama said whiskey helped with that. And wouldn't you know, next to the whiskey was a box, and in that box was a pistol. Still bent over from the spirits, that fool John probably put it in there while looking for some liquid to cure his headache last time he came home drunk. I went to reach for the whiskey, didn't think to pay that gun no mind, but then John rear up and he say, "I'ma shut that baby up since you can't." And then I hear old man again, and John coming at me, and old man said, "Bulah, you got to scare the devil in him or he's never going to stop." So I throws the bottle of whiskey at John's head. And he start to stumble and scream, and I could see the cuts from the glass on his face, and John real mad now, so he come at me like one of those unbroken stallions he trained up for Uncle Solomon. Then I scream, "You take one more step and I swear I'll kill you." John looked like he was still going to come at me. So I back up and I grab that pistol and I plant my feet and I said, "John Nathaniel Clark, you stop right there." And I swear what I'm saying to you is true. I swear he stopped. One foot still in front of the other, that pistol pointed at his face. I don't even know how to use the damn thing, but this close it can't be too hard. I ain't want to shoot though, 'cause Bertha was still on my chest. But John, he just stopped cold. Funny thing, looked like he wanted to move. He had that fire in his eyes like he usually do before he beats me, but he couldn't move. Then I say, "John Nathaniel Clark, you talk to me sweetly. You touch me kindly. You treat me like you treat Uncle Solomon or any of these white men you do work for, or I'ma use this gun and I'ma shoot you dead. This my gun now." And John, he was just standing there looking stupid. And that made me angry. So I say, "You speak back to me when I speak to you, John Nathaniel." And it looked like it hurt him to say it. But he say, "Okay, Bulah, I talk sweetly and I won't beat you no more." Then I say, "And you don't touch Bertha either. You hear me? You reach for my baby girl again and I'll come at you so bad you'll think hell would be better." And then he say, "Okay, Bulah, I won't touch Bertha neither." And that's when I realized that that man was scared of me. I don't know what he see, but he was looking everywhere, all around me, at Bertha. Even Bertha, she finally eased up and stopped crying, and her little eyes was looking everywhere too. Whatever John saw, his eyes was wide and his lip was trembling and he looked like he was about to cry. And he couldn't move no more, still stuck in that same position when I told him to stop. And I felt hot. Oh, I was so hot, and my lips tingled. It felt like I could breathe fire. And I say, "Okay, I'm glad we understand each other now, John. I want to be a good wife to you, but you got to be a good husband. And good husbands don't do like you do. So as long as you're a good husband and a good father, I never have to use this pistol. And I never have to talk to you like this again. Now you ease up and go find some aloe and some snake plant for my back, and then you go and find some dinner down at Mama's house while I clean up." And his eyes stopped moving all over, and he focused back in on my pistol like whatever he was looking at was going marching on into my gun. And I put that pistol in my pocket, in the pocket of my apron. And then I said, "Go ahead now, John, do as I ask." And without saying a single word to me, John went and found some aloe. Little Bertha played with the crossroad key that I had around my neck. So whatever else was in the room must have left, or at least she wasn't paying it no mind. They say babies can see spirits, and they say spirits throw heat when they're around. Maybe that's why I was hot. As I learned to read, Aunt Harriet wrote something about spirits and heat and babies. And she write that when she used her power, she feel hot around her neck too, right where her head meets her back. I wonder if John saw the spirits or felt the heat. Not that it mattered. 'cause John has been real good to me since then. Even brought me flowers today. I still keep my pistol in my apron, though, just to remind him to be a good man. Entry by Bulah Clark, date February 10th. Word got around that John don't beat me no more. I mentioned it to Netta and Mama what I did at the crossroad. Mama was so mad at me for seeing the Crossroad King. Told me to go down to the church and repent myself. But when I tell Mama and Netta what happened with John, Netta told Mama to lay off me. Netta is Aunt Harriet's girl, but she's always been like a sister to me. She's pregnant now, so I'm hoping her baby and my Bertha stay close. Anyway, the next thing I know, all the women around town come to me asking to sit with me. Say, I got that gift like Aunt Harriet and the old man. May they rest in peace. I remember sitting with Aunt Harriet before she died. She told me about the Crossroad King and that when she died, it would be my turn to go see the devil. That didn't make sense to me because Netta's always been gifted and was always around her mama's skirts. But Aunt Harriet said that's not how things work in our family. And I remember the women asking Aunt Harriet for help too. And she would help a little, few herbs and whatnot. But she told me that people will use you up if you let them. And that when it was my time, I'd have to protect my gift. And Netta would help me with that. I asked her once what she asked the Crossroad King for. And she just laughed at me. Told me to mind my own business. And that what she asked for wasn't worth getting. The old man didn't train her up good, you see, so she didn't know what to ask for. And now she might as well be useless like my mama in the ways of spirit. That's why she didn't help out too much. But I help the ladies. I go and I speak over their husbands or their bosses or their sons' girlfriends. Sometimes I speak over the lady herself. I look them dead in the face and I touch that pistol in my apron and I tell them to do right. I told the first few no good husbands to go for a walk and keep on walking, and they never came back. And now I got a problem, see, because them ladies looking at me like I'm their husbands now. Like I got to go out and provide. So now I'm a little more careful when I speak to the men folk about how they treat their ladies. But I found a solution. Aunt Josephine, that's Uncle Solomon's wife, she come to my house. Should have seen all the neighbors looking around at this blonde white lady creaking up my porch. Everyone know my daddy is white, but no one talk about it to my face. Netta shut that kind of talk down a long time ago. Anyway, Aunt Josephine heard that I had the power like the old man. My other granddaddy used to come to the old man with his problems, you see. And wouldn't you know, now that Uncle Solomon don't want me no more because I'm too grown for him, he done moved on to touching on my little cousin Charlie. For Aunt Josephine, that's a problem. I had half a mind not to worry with Aunt Josephine. She didn't care when Uncle Solomon was touching on me in her house, so why should I help her son? But Netta spoke up for me, and she say, well, what's in it for Bo? To use her power for you, you got to give up. Because you could just send your son up north to a fancy school. You got all her daddy money, don't you? Now, I saw that answer move behind Aunt Josephine's eyes, but the truth went past her lips. So I say, Josephine and Devereaux, speak the truth to me now. What you want to say, but can't, I commanded her. On a rush of breath, she say to me, your Uncle Solomon cheated you. The house was willed to you by your daddy. He wasn't ashamed of you, and he always treated you and your mama good. Your daddy was a good man and you were his only child since his wife couldn't have children. That's your house and your land and your money. Ooh, Aunt Josephine looked relieved to tell the truth, like it was weighing on her mind. But then she looked at me, a little fear on her face. I didn't mean to make her talk. I didn't mean to bend her spirit. That's what the old man wrote. He says some of the Crossroad children can bend spirits, dominate them even. And I think that's what I do. Bo, you can't go using your gift like that. Try asking nicely first. Netta scolded me up. Then she said to Aunt Josephine, Bulah is sorry. She's not going to do that again. Ha! That was a damn lie. I'd happily dominate her again. But she did look a little more at ease after Netta said I wouldn't. So I just nodded. Then Netta say, Bo will speak over Solomon, and when it's done, we give you some money and you run off with your boy and go see your family up north. And Aunt Josephine and me, we shook on it and the deal was done. So I do that. Today, me and Netta saw Uncle Solomon and tell him to give me what's mine or the devil was coming for him. Usually that would be enough. I felt the fire in my neck and I felt the heat of the spirits on my brow as I touched my pistol in that apron pocket. Everyone else bend to me when I'm like this, but not Uncle Solomon. For some reason, he wouldn't bend. He wasn't mine. And he come for me, but Netta got between us. Even pregnant, that girl ain't scared to fight no man. When she gets out the way, I pull my pistol and I make sure Netta is pushed clean behind me. And he say, Uncle Solomon say, little thing like you growing some balls because you think you got that black bush magic. You think you some kind of witch doctor now, but you ain't it and you ain't got shit and you'll never be shit. I used to bend you over. You don't bend me over. I got a charm that will protect me from devils like you, and I got God on my side. That's exactly what he say to me. And Netta and I, baby, we got out of there. We ain't have no backup plan, so we had to run off. We ain't run too far though. Got to the front porch and we heard Uncle Solomon start beating Aunt Josephine. And we heard him say, you thought that black bitch was going to come and do something. She can't do anything to me. You see this? Her old man give me this. And I looked through the window and he was touching on his cross around his neck. But that's not true. See, because old man, he gave that cross to my daddy. That's probably another thing Uncle Solomon took without asking. The damn asshole. Then Netta and I, we stay and we listen. We listened to my cousin cry out from a pain I knew all too well. And he touched that boy right in front of Aunt Josephine too. Made her watch and cry out and wail. Netta looked away, but I didn't. I stood in that window as he made them both sit there and watch him eat real good as they sat in front of empty plates. Cousin Charlie was still crying crazy, and Aunt Josephine did her best to give comfort, even though she was hurt herself. She do love that boy, let me tell you. Probably her best thing she ever done. Right now I'm talking to the book under the tree in the graveyard where my family is buried. Netta told me I was supposed to make sure I say everything so the next person knows what I know. That's how Aunt Harriet did it, Netta tell me. And that's good, because old man probably says how he make that charm, or at least how to get around it. And Netta and I will get around that goddamn thing. And this time, I'm not using my words. Entry by Bulah Clark, date March 15th. Aunt Josephine probably thought I forgot all about her. She came around asking when I was going to do some work on Uncle Solomon. Things are getting real bad, she said. And I had to do something now, she said. I couldn't forget about her or my cousin or what was owed to me, but I had to read up on what needed doing. And Netta helped me work through it. She can't see the words on the pages, but she remembered what her mother used to say, and she remembered what old man used to do. Before she passed, Aunt Harriet said that if you're going to do powerful work, work needs to be done during a full moon. If you can wait that long, that is. Netta and I worked out what to do, though. See, Uncle Solomon had to pay for what he did, and no one else was going to stop him but me. So I had to make sure I stopped him completely dead. So we had to wait for the full moon. Here's what we do. To drive a man out his mind, you need hair from his head with skin still attached. Knot the hair together 9 times, speak bad over the person. Go to the graveyard, pay proper respect, find the oldest tree. If the tree will let you, bore a hole down in its root. Tell the tree what you need and why you need it. Put the hair in the hole in the tree's root. Give offerings to the tree, then pay proper respect and brush off and leave the graveyard. Yeah. But before we could do that, I had to make sure Uncle Solomon had to take off that necklace that old man gave my daddy. Old man write that what was done on that cross can't be undone. He invoked the power of the Crossroad King and ain't no going around that. So I made Uncle Solomon swell up before the full moon. To make a man swell with liquid, add lots of salt to his food. I know a woman that cooks in his kitchen. I helped her when her son got tricked by his girlfriend. Then take 9 candles and carve the victim's name in the candle. I covered them with ash and soot so they look black. Burn the candles over a hot and heavy rock from the graveyard. Pay respects to the spirits coming and going. Wrap the rock and the wax in the cloth. I stole a shirt from Uncle Solomon's laundry. Then you cuss that rock out and you throw it into a river. I did it. I did all of it. Today is 2 days after the full moon, and I saw Uncle Solomon run crazy in the streets. Body big and red and bloated, like he gonna pop right out his skin. And his mind was no longer his. He came running right up to my porch, talking crazy, words all jumbled up. He wanted to accuse me of something, but he couldn't make up his mind to say the words. John, being a good husband, wouldn't let that crazy man near me. Entry by Bulah Clark, March 31st. I could spit fire. Hell, I did spit fire. I used my work and I got rid of that fucker for her. I got rid of that fucker and I did right by Aunt Josephine and Cousin Charlie, and I kept my word. Uncle Solomon, dead in the ground, body probably still leaking fluid. His mind went way before his body did. I did my part. And what did that old blonde bitch do? She tell me she not gonna give me what she owed me. Why would Aunt Josephine cross me up? According to law, what was her husband's is now hers. Don't matter that Uncle Solomon twisted the truth and twisted the law and stole it from me, stole my money and my land and my daddy's necklace. Don't matter if there's more than enough to share. She take half of her suffering, then scamper away like a little bunny. That's all she had to do. But when she tell me she wasn't gonna scamper, she sat in that parlor and she tell me she wasn't going to give me what was owed to me. I almost came across that low table at her. Damn the pistol in my pocket. I killed a man for her. And if I was going to kill her, I was going to do it with my bare hands. Netta stopped me though. Told me that we'd find another way. She said we got to expose the truth and that will stop Aunt Josephine. But I was screaming at that bitch. Ooh, top of my lungs, I was screaming. Brought all the house staff into the parlor. I was screaming so loud. Netta, bless her, told me to watch my words. Not that it mattered, because Aunt Josephine, she scampered back and she held up my daddy's cross necklace like I was some sort of saint and she was some sort of priest. But I got out of Netta's grasp and I hopped on Aunt Josephine and I wrenched that necklace from round her neck and I put my nose next to hers and I say, Josephine and Devereaux. Oh, I was spitting in her face. I was so mad. I said, Josephine and Devereaux, till you do right by me, everything you love will die. Everything you eat will sour. Your hair and your teeth will fall out your head, and your toes will curl up till you can't walk. You'll stink like death, and hellhounds will chase you. Till you do right by me, you will never succeed or prosper. You'll never have peace, and no God or devil or angel will protect you from me. I was gonna say more, but Netta covered my mouth till I passed out. Not that it matters. That bitch forgot who she was dealing with. I'm a child of the Crossroad King, and if I say it, then it is. Entry by Bulah Clark, date April 5th. At Charlie's burial today, Aunt Josephine looked like a dead body herself. Her blonde hair hung in patches over her head. She smelled like rotten fish and eggs, and she couldn't form a full sentence. All her teeth was falling out. I don't know this firsthand, just what Netta say, and Netta is a lot of things, but she's not a liar. I couldn't bear to go to that boy funeral. They say he died real bad. He went to shoot his mother, chasing her around the house. No one can say why, but he chased her around the house, and when some house help got her away from him, The boy put the gun to his head and pulled the trigger. Netta came home with some lawyer. Guess the lawyer worked for Aunt Josephine. He had some papers for me to sign. He said that Aunt Josephine was handing everything over to me before she went up north to go live with family. Being in that house weighed on her nerves because the boy, Cousin Charlie, was buried out back. And she had to get away. That's what the lawyer say. And she wanted out of town because, it was my town now. I gave Netta my daddy's necklace, and I sat there quiet like while she talked to the lawyer. Entry by Bulah Devereaux. Date June 1st. Daddy's inheritance is mine. I had to start going by Devereaux, and Netta had to work with the lawyers, but the inheritance is mine. John wasn't too happy that I changed my last name. And I changed Bertha's last name. His worst fear was coming true. He think I'm going to try passing and leaving him for some white man. I don't much care if John is happy about it or not, though. I was tired of him yammering at the mouth, so I said, if I want what's mine, I take their name. Devereaux's belong to this town, and this town belongs to Devereaux's. We have enough money to never worry about anything. And everyone in town calls me Aunt Bulah Devereaux now anyway. No one is worried about the Devereaux name except for him. You can't pay me to move into that house, though. I told the church that the Reverend could stay there for free as long as he kept the church up as well. I cleared it out, make sure Charlie and Uncle Solomon's haints moved on. Work to remove haints. You cuss them bitches out, then smoke out the house. Use pine, camphor, rosemary, and sage. Hopefully the Reverend praying in there every day will also keep the house safe. I took a seed from the tree that keep our family plot. I planted the seed and told it to keep watch over the house and the land as it grew. I ain't read that nowhere in the family book, but that felt right somehow. John and a few other menfolk from town, good, strong working men, they're going to knock down our house and the neighbors' houses, and they're going to build up a new home to rival Daddy's. Lots of rooms. That way the women whose men I scared off have a safe place to stay. And the house staff from Daddy's house has a place to work. We can sell dinners and do laundry and such. If they are working and providing for themselves and their children, I think they'll be happy. We can throw parties too, keep the house full of good spirits. And Bertha and Netta's baby, Netta's baby's named Jessie. Bertha and Jessie, they gonna have a good place to grow up in. Whatever we do next, I'ma do it without all my gift. I think Mama was right. I shouldn't have gone to the devil for help. Too much bad has happened. Right now, John and I are staying with Mama till the house is all built up. Sometimes at night, I can see Aunt Josephine watching me from outside the window. She can't get in. We're protected no matter where we lay our head. But I think she's coming to get me, though. I think she's waiting for me to slip up. And that's strange to say, since the woman's been dead for a few days now, buried not too far from where the old man and Aunt Harriet rest. She never did make it out of St. Stephen's. She stayed in town while the lawyers did their thing, and when it was done, she lay on her boy's grave and she died. She was getting her strength back too. Didn't matter. She lost what she loved most. John is nervous because I don't talk as much as I used to. My words have power. The power makes me drunk. When I'm at home, I read this book, I write what's in my mind, and I make sure Bertha and Jessie are cared for. People know to go talk to Netta first, and Netta will tell me what they need help with. The power I have is dangerous. It makes me drunk. So I have to take care of what I say and what I'm willing to do, or else I become the goddamn asshole. Before brushing down with her anointed hand broom, Ro walked backward through the graveyard gate and left the rest of her payment dimes. Once she finished proper exit protocol, she took a few steps back and gathered herself. She did not finish her mission. She was there to collect dirt, but that story was eye-opening. Aunt Bulah was a badass. A scary badass, a diabolical badass. The first diabolical Devereaux. No, the first black diabolical Devereaux. The woman was so diabolical, she had to temper her own power. And Ro couldn't help but wonder if her pact with the Crossroad King would lead down paths equally as nefarious. Her wish seemed harmless in comparison. She just wanted all her blessings to find her, but should she have worded it differently? What were the conditions attached to such a simple request? Will the calling on the blessings come with strings attached? Clearly, you have to be careful what you ask for, and only time will tell if Ro was careful enough. Ro was disturbed from her graveyard revelations by the church doors opening and Aunt Bethel click-clacking down the walkway. "Now, who does he think he is?" Bethel fussed before whirling around and pointing at the church building. "Who does he think he is to talk like that? He don't know what he don't know, but he sure is talking loud about what he don't know." "Now, Bethel, maybe we should just take a few breaths. Disagreement doesn't mean we have to cause a scene," Ethel said, trying to catch up to Bethel. No. That man done crossed the line, and I will not stand for it," Bethel all but screamed. Mama Green, Judge Brown, and Lin Wynn were next to come out the doors. All three people benefited from Ro's spiritual work and over time became either friendly acquaintances or chosen family. "Now that was unacceptable," Judge Brown said as he joined Aunt Ethel and Aunt Bethel. "I'm saying just unacceptable. And I honestly can't believe a man of God would attack someone that wasn't there to defend themselves. Honestly, it should have been a conversation done in private." "Huh, and miss a chance to have such a spectacular sermon on Christmas Day. Where is the drama in that, Judge?" Lynn said as she reached into her bag hiding under her choir robes and pulled out a tissue for her mother, Mama Green. The woman, Mama Green, was crying and just as out of sorts as the rest of them. Excuse me? What's happening here?" Rose said loud enough to catch everyone's attention. "That man is a goddamn fool, excuse my language," Aunt Bethel huffed. "And I won't be sitting in there to listen to any more of his foolishness. Now come on, ladies, we got dinner that needs making, and it's not gonna make itself. And I'm in need of good spirits." "Ain't no good spirits, Beth. Ro done took my good whiskey." "Well, then we stopping at Jim's on the way home. I need something to steady the nerves that fool-ass reverend shook up, excuse my language, and look like Miss Green needs some too," Aunt Bethel fussed. "I'll take Mama Green home," the judge offered. "You all just take care of yourselves and get home safe and sound. I'll come by later for a plate, if you don't mind." The group disbanded without actually answering Ro's question, so Ro looked to her sister, Lynn. "Sis, what the hell did I miss? The service isn't over. I can still hear the organ playing, and the aunties are always the last to leave." "Ro, the Reverend said some things that ruffled their feathers," Lynn said quietly, unsure how to explain. God, was it about the kiss on the cheek the auntie shared earlier? I swear this town is so fucking backward. Love is love, Lynn, and this isn't how we're supposed to love each other. As a matter of fact, isn't there God a God of love? Oh, sis, that was brought up, but it was a little more than that." For the first time ever, Lynn looked unsure of herself. Like she was unsure what to say, or at least how to say it with some sort of charm. Lynn, sis, talk to me straight. What happened in there? I can't help unless I know what we're all upset about. Well, the Reverend reminded us that the baby born on Christmas died on a cross as an adult so we could all enter the kingdom of God. Okay, Rose shrugged. What's so harmful about that? Well, he also said we shouldn't throw away such a gift by soul tying ourselves to diabolical witches that come sweeping into town. I don't know if you know this, Ro, but the devil sent you here to corrupt all of us. That's why Ethel and Bethel finally give in to their tendencies publicly by making out in front of the church. And why Judge Brown was seen with a sex worker last week outside of the jailhouse. And Mama and I, we're your horsemen, riding out and bringing you more souls to corrupt. Lynn chuckled, but Rose stood there dumbfounded. I'm sorry, what now? Oh, yeah, that's exactly what he said. Then Aunt Bethel defended you. Man, she was spitting mad. And then the Reverend said that was proof of your absolute corruption and started spouting Bible verses. Then, well, you saw the rest. What the fuck, Lynn? Girl, I know. No, seriously, what the fuck, Lynn? He doesn't know me. Sis, I said I know. No, Lynn, I'm serious. We've never met. He does not know me. Not once since you've been in town have you actually talked to the Reverend. Lynn looked shocked. Sis, what I look like going into a church or meeting the Reverend? I know I don't belong there. I just want to live well and take care of what's mine. And this town apparently is mine. I know. You just want your blessings and you want to live simple. Sis, that is all I ever asked for. Well, now you may have to fight for it. But don't you worry. I'm going to fight with you. Rose sighed out her anger. Oh. Thanks, Lynn. You have no idea how I needed to hear that. Oh, of course, sis. You and I, we soul tied. I'm a horseman. You got me under your spell, remember? Lynn chuckled. Ugh, too soon, said Ro, on a hidden smile. Ain't no one dead. Can't be too soon to say a joke or two. Now, tell me about what you had going on. How was your family visit? Aunt Bulah okay with you taking some of her dirt and dust for the prosperity spell we need to work in a few days? Ro stood there like a deer in headlights. I didn't get the dirt. I'm sorry, you didn't what now? That was the whole point of you leaving that B&B unattended this morning. I know, but no buts, Lynn cut her off. We are not making money fast enough, and we're losing money real fast. I mean, real quick, Ro. And those renovations, they're expensive. And John, the contractor, he gonna want his money soon, as he should. He been real nice so far. I think he kind of sweet on you, honestly. But the man needs to eat too, you know. I know, Lynn. But what, Ro? We got to go back in there and get that dirt. Aunt Bulah was powerful. You said yourself. And you said her stuff helped you. And, we need that juju or whatever you call it. Lynn, Rose said, taking the woman by the shoulders. I need you to hear me when I say this. I don't think it's that simple. I found more pages. And we can always come back later for the dirt. It's not like Aunt Bulah is gone anywhere. And I'm pretty sure that if I ask Aunt Bulah, she will help. But, Lynn, I need a break. I need to go home and I need to think and I need to sit with our plan. I need to make sure it's the right one. Lynn, finally saw how shaken up Ro looked from her graveyard adventure. Ooh, okay, now you spill. What the hell happened in there that's got you so unsure? You were so sure this morning. Long story short, we need to be careful what we ask for, Lynn. And we have to be careful about how we go about our work. Lynn took a beat and waited for Ro to say more. Ro didn't say more. Long story short, my ass, Lynn said. She took off her choir robe and left it on the church steps. You tell me everything, and you know we gotta walk home since the aunties took your car and I gotta ride from the judge. So don't leave out no goddamn details, Ro. And boy, was that a long story. Okay, like that was I think that was almost 20 pages written. Yeah, I think it's like 17 pages. Okay, let's break it down, shall we? How about we get the obvious out of the way first? Graveyard work entering the city of the dead should be done with purpose and respect. Now, have I hot girl walked through my local cemetery to get my steps in and take in the peaceful scenery? Yes, I have. So I'm not saying that every single time you go to a graveyard or a cemetery, you have to follow these protocols every time. What I am saying is that when it's no longer just a park, a place of rest for the dead, when you are actively trying to conjure spirits and seek aid, intercession into your needs, these are some protocols to follow, right? Because just like Aunt Ethel said, you go in, you pay your respects, you do your work, and you get out. So some things to keep in mind. When you are there to work, you have to pay to enter. Some say it's pennies, some say it's dimes, some say you pour whiskey. Whatever you do, you pay to go in. Next, I've learned that it's good etiquette to knock on the gate or the ground to let the dead, let the spirits know you are entering their liminal space. And I should say spirits, not just the dead there, but the guardians of the graveyard. You need to let them know you coming. Just like you knock on someone's door before you enter their home or you enter their office, knock on the door, let them know you're coming in. You want to make sure that you have some protection. Now, I'm not saying this to fearmonger. I'm saying this because we are responsible magic wielders. All right. So make sure you have some protection. Head has to be covered. Wear your closed-toe shoes. If you have a talisman or a mojo of protection, now's the time to pull that out. You just don't want anything to attach to you while you're walking among the spirits, you know. So precaution is always good. Number 4, don't take without asking. And make sure you give reparation for what you take. Though Ro didn't get to ask Aunt Bulah for help, she did bring whiskey for her aunt. Right? She could have left that caramel chew that Aunt Bethel gave her. Like, she made sure that she had something to offer. And when Aunt Bulah, when she was alive, when she went to the guardian spirit, that tree that watches over the family plot, she asked first if she could do the work. Then when she did the work, she made sure to leave an offering to the tree. You pay your proper respect. Next, bring your divinatory tools. That way, when you ask, you can get a clear yes or no answer. Otherwise, you have to go by pure intuition. And if you got it like that, cousin, if your intuition is that in tune, much respect. Much respect. And finally, be sure to follow proper, respectful etiquette when you leave, like walking backward out of the cemetery or graveyard, leaving a payment of thanks at the gate, and brushing down or doing a quick floor to water cleanse before you go home. Basically, you want to maintain respect at all times and make sure nothing is going with you that you didn't ask for. Now, these are my rules, and these rules have been developed as I've practiced. And to be honest with you, I've only ever like had to go into a graveyard to do work less than a handful of times. I do have like a story to give you and some rules and things like that in a previous episode. I think it's just called Hoodoo Graveyard Work. I'll be sure to leave that in the notes, but it says basically the same thing. Too long didn't read. Be respectful, stay protected, and don't take without asking. And make sure you get a yes, right? Okay, another obvious work done are the spells to drive someone crazy and to make someone fill with fluid. These are taken directly from the Odd Hoodoo Tactics episode, and it's so fun. Hold on, let me see if I can find that comment somebody left. Hold on. I found it. It's on the Odd Hoodoo Tactics episode, and this cousin, crafty hippie chick. Hello, cousin. How you doing? They said, these are some wild tactics. Lizard and the toe was the wildest one. Right? I said odd because it was like, it could be in that episode, the spells could be like just something we don't do anymore, like talking to trees, right? Or it could just be something completely out of pocket, like lizards in the toe, like filling someone up with fluid, like driving someone crazy. But the spells that Aunt Bulah used on Uncle Solomon to fill him with fluid and to drive him crazy, so so that way she could get what she wanted, the curses she laid on him, they come directly from that Odd Hoodoo Tactics episode. So if you want to hear more of those crazy kind of things, feel free to go to that episode. I will be sure to leave that in the show notes as well. For legal purposes, those spells are for entertainment purposes only. CoCo did not tell you to go put a lizard in somebody's toe. She did not tell you to fill your enemy up with fluid, and she certainly didn't tell you to go into your enemy's house, steal hair out of their hairbrush, dig a hole into a tree, and drive that person crazy. If you do something like that, cousin, and you get caught up, CoCo had nothing to do with it. She was just here to try to tell you a story, okay? Okay. Okay, so now for the not so obvious. This episode is directly inspired by my family. Specifically, Aunt Bulah was inspired by my family. Aunt Bulah is inspired by a foremother of mine. She would be my mother's great grandmother on my daddy's side. Doesn't that sound complicated? And her name was Lily. My mom a while ago dug into the family tree and she came up with only a few tales on foremother Lily. Here's what we know. The woman was light skinned. She was tiny. For whatever reason, a prominent white man in the actual town of St. Stephen, South Carolina, sold her a plot of land for dirt cheap, and that is now my ancestral land. Like that's I still have family on that land right now. Now my grandmother, y'all know her as Mother Clark, she says that that's perfectly normal for a white man to sell a black woman land back in the days of basically Reconstruction at that point. But my mom and I, we call BS on that. Not to say grandma don't know. Grandma is full of wisdom and maybe she's right. There's a high likelihood she's right. Maybe we thinking too hard. But history says that that's not normal for a white man to sell a black woman land because he did not sell it to my forefather. That's not who owned the land. Foremother Lily owned that land. Also, when my Uncle Ben, my grandfather's brother, may he rest in peace. Both of them, may they both rest in peace. When my mother asked Uncle Ben, like actual direct questions about our foremother Lily, Uncle Ben outright refused to talk about it. Just outright refused to discuss it. So there's something there. My mom and I speculate that she was either that white man's daughter, hence her light skin, or And this is also kind of fun. And the story almost went in this direction. She was that man's lover. Either way, we'll never know. Another super interesting thing about my foremother Lily is that she actually did carry a pistol in her apron at all times. The story goes that she carried that pistol as a security precaution because she real tiny and the menfolk around her weren't so tiny. And wouldn't you know, her husband never bothered to disrespect her. Not even once. What a complete badass. So I dedicate this story to foremother Lily. When I call on my ancestors, may your wisdom find me. Okay. My sister, Big Sis, she been around here a few times. Big Sis actually inspired the story's central lesson, which is care for what you say because your words, cousin, are magic. Big Sis has sent like my immediate family all sorts of meditations, affirmations, and lessons on words as magic. Not just manifestation, but as actual magic. I believe this is true. And I talked about this in episodes before, especially in episode Speak Easy. Pure magic, your words. What you say is what becomes, right? You constantly say you're broke. You call lack into your life. You constantly say you're worthless or can't live without someone else. You will forever be a victim to someone else's toxic behavior, and you will never see yourself as worthy. And cousin, if you tell someone to their face that they will not prosper or succeed until they've done right by you, and I'm talking a full color purple curse, you've laid an effective trick against that person. You've laid an effective curse. Now that sounds scary, but that means that the opposite is also true, right? You speak good things over yourself. Good things come to you. You speak good things over your loved ones. You fill up their cup with blessing. Your words, cousin, especially in moments of intense emotional expression, your words are a raw spiritual force. So when you talk to yourself, talk sweetly. And know that if you tell somebody to go fuck off and damn them to hell, that's exactly what you've laid in their path. Now, to add a layer that ties into your spell work, your spiritual work, we as conjurers, root workers, hoodoos, I call us hoodoos. We petition spirits for intercession in our life. You petition your ancestors. You petition, saints or angels, or, our cultural spirits like a High John or the Crossroad Man or people like that. We constantly do that as a part of our spiritual work. It's just a part of the game. So when you petition, when you write it down or you say it out loud, take your time and be careful what you ask for. Take care in how you ask for it. I'm not trying to fearmonger. Okay. I'm not saying your whole world's going to come to an end. I'm just saying you just might get what you ask for. And sometimes it's hard to live with that. I've also introduced the theme of magic versus religion. It's kind of been an undercurrent from like the first other Taylor originals, right? This magic and versus religion. And I would talk about that more with you right now, but we'll explore that a little bit more in season 5. But ain't that some bullshit what the Reverend was saying about Ro and her chosen family? Ooh, child. Imagine just giving your significant other an innocent peck on the cheek in the parking lot, and the next thing you know, the Reverend telling the whole congregation y'all was necking. That would burn me up. That would burn me up so hot. Child, I can't show love. Ugh. Anyway, I wrote it and I'm really mad about it. Anyway, I think that's it. I'm sure there's more in there somewhere. If there's anything you would like to discuss, cousin, please be sure to leave a comment or a review or shoot me an email at cococonjure@gmail.com. That's CoCoConjure@gmail.com. You could also leave me a DM in Instagram, but child, I don't know when I'll respond. I'm not good at Instagram. Okay, man, what a season. What a season. Your girl is ready to put on her heavy sweater and rest, because I have been going nonstop since May. since the spring equinox, okay? And we at the time of this recording, I am quickly approaching the winter solstice. So like we talking a good 3/4 of the year. I've just been at it hardcore. Your girl needs rest. Your girl needs hibernation. I might even tackle my to be read list. But you know what? This season of CoCo Conjure was an absolute joy for me. My favorite episode of the season, besides this one, because this one was a lot of fun, not only to write but to like perform, was the other No Tale original for this season, which was No Rest for the Wicked. Because baby, what was Judge Brown doing? That was a fun one. Oh, and I loved spider stories. I liked reading all about Black folks being Black folks and telling stories, and then like pulling out my red string and connecting all of the dots in Anansi's web. You know, that was also a lot of fun for me. So I hope you guys had a great time this season. I hope you'll join me in season 5. Please don't forget about me, cousin. I'm gonna be gone for a while, but don't forget about me. I promise I'm coming back. I said it, and so I am, right? But before we get out of here, cousin, I want to remind you that you deserve the world. Remember that your words are magic, and only you can take control of your life's story. So be sure to talk sweetly over yourself and rebuke them goddamn haters. And cousin, know that when you call for your blessings, they will come to you. I'll see you guys on March 1st, 2026.